So I'm sure there will be a few questions from the audience. Who would like to start? Do we have a room microphone? Yes, we do. Excellent. All right. Are there any questions yet? Yes, I see someone in the back.
Again, this is Susan Stewart from the U.S. Naval Observatory. My question is for Parsec. What are you planning to use as your time source for your navigation constellation? And are you going to ensure that's inoperable with the other constellations like Moonlight and NASA's LunaNet? Because we don't want accidents having different time sources. We're trying to model the time sources now, and we're seeing a lot more than the 56 microseconds a day. And we're still trying to understand that. I'm just asking if what you all have looked at in that area.
Choice of time source for Parsec.
So we are exploring atomic clocks right now, which the appropriate card that we could use on board. So we'll have to we can follow up with you offline, but we are planning on being LunaNet and L-Kearns compliant. And then we're also working with other U.S. government agencies on this as well to make sure we do have a compliant. So I'll get with you offline when we have a process.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the room? Yes. Microphone is on this.
Thank you. So a question to Mark. If the regolith in the PSRs had ice in it, you might imagine that the crater morphologies might be different. I guess you must be looking into that.
Yes, we are.
Are you allowed to sort of say anything about it?
We're looking very closely at it.
It's a work in progress, I gather. Yes. Right,
The question,
go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. The question to Mark. Did you detect the L-cross impact? Anything from the L-cross impact?
Bernard, you weren't paying attention to my talk. I had a whole slide on that. Now we've looked very carefully, but we have not found it. Right? There's craters there, but there's nothing to make it look unusual relative to the other craters in the area. So either the estimates of where it impacted are wrong, or we've completely suppressed, because it is challenging letting the albedo you would expect to see there. But I don't even see a sharp rim. So that's a little bit an answer to your question, right? I don't know. I believe the estimates are good, so I don't think it's a matter that the impact. I think they're good a couple hundred meters. But no, we have not found it. But we'll keep looking because the light changes. Cabeus is one of the most challenging large PSRs on the moon. It's very photon challenged.
All right, thank you. Further questions?
To these comm guys, could you speak a little bit to the ground, on the Earth, their side of it, and how resilient it is to weather and storms? And are you using pre-existing assets? Or are you building new assets?
Sure. Yeah, we're using existing assets currently. Again, like with a lot of the global ground station providers. So we will have pick of the litter for ground station and true points that will not be obscured by weather.
Okay, so you're totally with that.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't add too much more. As I said in the slides, yeah, we're working with KSAT. They've got a global network, existing assets, providing that coverage for us as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you for those answers. Any other questions? If not for now, think on it. Oh, I see one. Go ahead.
Hello, Isacco Preto from OHB Italy. For Lockheed Martin, on what band do you provide the service to the lunar surface for the communication and for the navigation parts?
So To the surface, it's S and Ka band. And then back to Earth, it's Ka and X band. But the Ka band is our primary downlink back to Earth for the high data rates.
Okay, and for the navigation, do you have a different polarization than for the communication, or it's
So can't get into too much of that, but I can tell you that I mean, it's Doppler ranging right now. So.
thanks.
Yes, another question from one of our.
Another for the comm guys. This is fascinating. I'm really interested in it. You didn't really talk about how much power you need from the surface. Like, can a little rover with a 1-watt transmitter talk to your satellite, or how much power needs to be coming up for both of you?
Can't put a quantity on it, but we are sort of working with user terminal providers that will be able to work with customers providing these terminals for different assets, rovers, landers, orbiters, and yeah, we're going to make sure that these terminals can talk to Pathfinder. Yeah.
The goal, though, is to minimize the swap that's required from having to go direct to Earth with any reasonable bandwidth, especially with the amount of data we're expecting customers to have. And so it does reduce the swap that is required on the surface to now connect to a relay. We have to send data back to my data back to Earth. But, yeah, we'd have to get offline and get just, do the link budgets and tell you what the sizes would need for different bandwidth.
Was the other effect? Yeah, the other thing is that there are some pretty sensitive ground stations on Earth as well, right? And on the satellite, you have a smaller sensitivity in principle. So that's interesting to work out. I would also like to hear. I see another question here. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
This builder tool that Matthew talked about, you can put in the characteristics of your user terminal in terms of the G over T of the antenna and the power and so on, and it'll tell you the data rate that you can do because it's a variable data rate.
All right. That helps. Thank you. I might slip in a question of my own, actually. So I come from the radio astronomy background, and I am very interested to hear if our telecommunication services have taken into account any self-generated emissions that might interfere with the radio quietness on the lunar far side. Has that been a factor in the design of your platforms, or is it still the Wild West and are there no rules to speak of? Could you maybe provide some comments on that?
I'll let you go first. So we've obviously assessed ourselves to make sure we don't interfere with ourselves and other missions. I mean, we all are intending to be compliant with the standards out there. I know there's a mission, that Farside mission does have a radio silence requirements in their band, which I think everybody will be inherently compliant with. And then the other piece to this too, we have already filed with the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission in the United States, and then they're working with the international international community on frequencies and allocations and uses and licensing. So so we are starting that process to kind of get ahead of the really helping them understand what's going to be required from licensing and regulation of the frequency uses on and around the moon. So.
Yeah, my answer's not too different. I mean, we're well aware of the potential of the far side for radio astronomy. We're well aware of the shielded zone of the moon and those requirements. I mean, as you saw in our slides, our first user will be a radio astronomy telescope, and so yeah, we have it built into our concept of operations and are well aware of it.
Yeah, I figured I'd ask it because these rules have not been completely worked out, right? And so this is still a little bit of an unclear time in our history when we have to settle on a definitive set. I think we have reached 4:30 on the clock exactly. If there are no further questions from the audience, I would like to conclude our session here. Please give our speakers another round of applause.